And this is a big one. This is a really big helpful hint that really helped our marriage. So he's like, what are you going to say?
I want to remember this one.
Yeah. So every Sunday night on our calendar at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Welcome to Molly Motivates. Today's episode is so special to me because I got to sit down with Meygan and Casey Caston, the inspiring and super genuine couple behind Marriage 365. I discovered Meygan and Casey on Instagram a while back, and I knew I had to have them on the show. Meygan and Casey seek to inspire, challenge, and equip couples in the adventure of marriage. They have been coaching couples for 7 years in hopes to lower the divorce rate, to help couples choose love, and to positively impact 1 million marriages. Marriage 365 is their way to encourage couples, to give them daily marriage tips and reminders, date night ideas, tips, and more. I know Kevin and I are big fans, and we have learned a lot from them. Marriage 365 reaches over 100,000 couples each week through Meygan and Casey's blog, books, and social media, all sharing their awesome message of hope. Meygan and Casey have found that great marriages don't happen by accident, but that they require being intentional 365 days a year. They want to see marriages thrive and last a lifetime, and through Marriage 365, they are on a mission to help be part of the solution. I had such a great time sitting down with these two. Their passion for one another, the love for their children, and their daily commitment to help make a difference in the lives of many shined through in an amazing way, which you will see and hear. I love that they share their story with us, that they are open with their own struggles, and they provide so many takeaways for all of us to use in our daily lives. Investing in marriage takes work, and it is wonderful that Meygan and Casey, through Marriage 365, are so invested in us, and that they are here to help us have happier marriages and happier relationships that last a lifetime. I know that you will learn from them and be motivated yourself.
All right, you guys, I am seriously so happy. I'm so happy you guys are here. I can't even express it to you. Like from the minute that I saw Marriage 365, I think I found you on Instagram. I was like, who are these people? I could tell that they're people that I get the same, we have the same values, we get each other. And I couldn't believe that you were local. That was amazing. That was an answer to prayer, like in a crazy way. So thank you so much for coming here today and chatting with me. And
you're welcome.
I'm just excited for everyone who's listening to this and watching this, that they get to be blessed by you guys and hear your story and everything that you guys are doing. Because I'm inspired today, even just having our pre-talk. I am like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So thank you. So you guys can take it over for a little bit here and share your story and just tell us who you are and how this all came about, Marriage 365 and everything.
Wonderful. So we have been together, I guess it would be almost 14 years. We met at Vanguard University, which is in Orange County. Mm-hmm. I was the incoming freshman. He was the senior in the welcoming committee. And we always joke that he did a fabulous job of welcoming me.
Fabulous welcoming job.
And it's funny because it really was, for me, it was love at first sight. I actually called my mom that night. I'm like, I met the guy I'm going to marry. And she's like, you just moved out today. What are you talking about? Yeah. But there was definitely an attraction from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And we were friends for a few months and then dated 10 months and engaged 8, and so we got married in 2001, so we'll be celebrating 12 years together.
Wow, congratulations.
And kind of where all of Marriage 365 started from was actually before we even met. So between Casey and I, our parents have been married 11 times. And like you guys, you have a lot of marriages that you had to kind of experience growing up. So we brought all that into our marriage. Mm-hmm. But when we stood at the altar, we thought everything would just be great and we'd always be in love.
Happily ever after.
Happily ever after. That no matter what, love would conquer all. So when we woke up, I think it was like the second day of our honeymoon and we didn't really feel like loving each other because we had an argument on our honeymoon. Yeah. We thought, oh, well, this isn't fun. This is terrible. And it just really escalated. It got worse and worse and worse. And so by the 3rd year of our marriage, we were considering divorce. And there really wasn't an aha moment. It just was, we kind of sat on the couch and said, if we keep this up, we're going to end up like our parents. We're going to end up divorced and bitter and angry, and we don't want to do that. Right. Mm-hmm. want to take it from there?
Take it over.
Yeah, well, growing up and seeing failed examples of what marriage should be, and I would say, and probably speak on behalf of millennials, over 76% of us have experienced and lived in a home where marriage was not well modeled.
Right.
Yeah.
And so while courtship was easy, I mean, it was easy to impress a beautiful woman and come up with all these great ideas. When we got married, it was kind of like a, now what?
Right.
Yeah.
Now I won. I got my trophy. I got my prize. But then I didn't know how to love her, because when the feelings went away, well, that's what I was chasing after. Was I don't feel like loving her, so I didn't make the right choices, and we really did spiral out of control.
We also stopped dating each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big thing. We always went on, you always date each other. I mean, when you're dating, that's what you're doing. We stopped asking questions about our dreams, our hopes for the future.
Stop being curious.
Yeah, we kind of just thought, well, we know everything about each other.
Or being fun for each other. Being fun for each other.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, and the distinction I'd say is I think going into marriage, we thought we'd just make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, that's what happens in the movies and in the fairy tales.
They just figure it out. Yeah.
But what we discovered is that we had to make it work. We actually had to make it work.
And there's work is, it takes work.
Yeah, and so either, you're going to put the work in beforehand, or you're going to put the work in afterwards. And usually, when you start to apply yourself in marriage, the work actually became fun.
It did.
It was fun to experience her for a new.
Well, and you don't have to work as hard. The more you put in, kind of in those seasons, because there's still ups and downs. It hasn't always been the last 12 years. Yeah. There's ups and downs, but when you put work, when it's kind of more challenging, you don't have to put as much work in the rest of the time. And so that's kind of where marriage, the title actually of Marriage 365 came from, was that you're married 365 days a year. You don't get a vacation.
Work at it 365 days a year.
You have to invest in it.
Even on a business trip. Relationships may seem complicated, but the steps to actually move into this idea of what true love looks like, the practical application of making a healthy marriage, it's not that complicated.
Okay.
It's easy, actually. It's the reality is that just most of us aren't willing to put that hard work into making those choices. Because we tag everything with Marriage 365, I choose love. Because love inside marriage is a choice. And sometimes, in the way we describe love culturally, is that it's some emotional, euphoric high. But actually, love inside marriage often requires that we make choices that are in direct opposition to what we currently feel. Okay. She just, said a harsh word. So what do I want to do? My feelings would dictate and say, well, I'm going to lash out. Yeah. But the choice of love is to go in direct opposition to that and to say, hey, maybe that didn't come out wrong, or I still love you.
So really, after that third year of making that decision to turn it around, we started going on date nights, we started choosing love, we started putting our marriage really on the front of our minds daily, waking up going, okay, we got to work on us. Right. Our turnaround was so significant that our friends, our neighbors, our family were like, wait a second, you guys were headed towards divorce.
Oh, we were toxic.
Like, you're healthy and you're happy and you're laughing and you can't keep your hands off each other. Right. What is going on? Yeah. And we realized that it wasn't like we had a bunch of these little secrets that, make a successful marriage, but that really more that we were putting the effort in, we figured out some things that worked for us, and we knew that there had to be more couples like us. Right. There had to be.
There are plenty.
Millions, right? If the divorce rate is 50%.
More in Orange County.
And 72% in Orange County. 72% divorce rate in Orange County. I mean, you can't get away from that. Right. And so we just felt like we needed to give back. We needed to give back, not just to our community, but we started finding our friends on our couch talking to us saying, we're fighting and we know you guys used to fight all the time. How do we navigate this? And so that's awesome. Kind of really where it started, is us giving back. And then we started a Facebook page thinking, well, maybe people
We started that last year.
That's so
It's amazing to see the kind of response. Right. That practical application. inspirational stories, reminders of just what does it look like? What does it really look like to choose love? Yes. I wish we had Marriage 365 when we first got married, because we would,
or that our parents had it.
All our parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean that's the kind of stuff. And really, one of the big turnarounds was that we started surrounding ourselves with positive couples. We found couples that were thriving in their marriage, and we begged them, hey, we're going on a double date with you. Where are you going? We started asking them, and what is it that you guys do that's really made a difference in your marriage? And we are so grateful for these mentors.
Yes.
A lot of times we talk about how, and when we coach couples, is that you can't change your spouse.
Nope.
Really.
Right. Even if you try so hard. Yeah, you
people don't do what you tell them to do.
Right.
Or you really can't tell somebody what to do.
Right.
People do what they tell themselves to do.
Yes.
And so a lot of times we talk about how to build a healthy marriage, you have to start with a healthy you.
Definitely.
And so it's amazing. Our brains can be reprogrammed.
Right.
You start filling in your mind with the positive, the good, the right. That changes our belief systems about who we are, how we see the world.
Right.
Our belief systems impact our actions that we take. And so by filling our minds with the positive, like just even, as you're flipping through your friends' food choices on Instagram or what your kids were doing, you'll see a reminder from Marriage 365 on hey, go brag about your spouse, or, less screen time, more FaceTime. Those types of reminders.
And real FaceTime, not FaceTime.
Yeah, exactly. But those reminders actually begin to shape our attitudes and beliefs about our marriage.
Yeah. Well, so many times on Instagram, I will be scrolling through, and there's fitness and food and all this, and all of a sudden there's you guys, and I'm like, it's like exactly what I needed to hear today. And it's just and that's when I knew I needed to talk with you guys. But I appreciate everything that you share. I mean, it's huge. And this is what Kevin and I always say. So we're going on 20 years.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Big deal.
And I'm only 25, which is so weird. My parents let me get married at 5.
Arranged marriage.
I know, yeah. But we always, we both came from divorced families, and our parents, we love them so much. They're amazing. But the models that we got of a really close, loving marriage was not what we wanted to be. And besides marriage counseling and all that, we work at it every day, just like our fitness, just like our jobs. But we always, I'm sure you guys can agree to this, when I ask people, as a health coach, I'll say what are your goals? And what are your priorities? And when they say my kids are number one, I say your spouse should be number one. Yeah. Because your kids can't be number one if you're not together. Do you guys agree with me on that?
Definitely.
We always try to be together so that we can be better parents.
And another part of that is that you only have your kids for a season.
Oh, trust
18
me,
years,
I know.
Yeah, 18 years. But I think that's another thing that people forget is that once your kids turn 18, their life choices are up to them. I mean, you might have a say in their life, but you might not.
Right.
And that's when we see a lot of marriages blow out.
Yeah. Actually, the empty nesters.
That's why, you have to date each other. And sorry, we always, actually a couple years ago, we were, this is how it goes, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And I remember on a little lower point of our marriage, we said, we don't want to be the couple whose kids are out of the house and we have nothing together. We don't have a hobby together. We don't like to hang out. Yes. And that's when we were like, okay, what can we do together? We could snowboard. We could work out together. We can make date night. Because really, we already have one out of the house. We have one more 4 years from now. And Kevin and I are like, oh, we're going to have so much fun when he's gone. Fun. Do you know what I mean?
We have our countdown too.
We're counting down and our kids are 3 and 7.
Oh my gosh.
3 and 7.
It's not a countdown, but you know what I mean.
No,
13 years.
Yeah. But what do you say on that, for couples? I'm sure that's come to you before.
Well, and so we call it a child-centered marriage. That's what we would call someone who puts their children first. We say it's a child-centered marriage. Maybe the kids sleep in the bed with them, or they even take every vacation as a family. Right. Not to say that family vacations are bad, but you've got to also go...
Couples trips.
Yeah, couples trip, just you two. And so we really would say to focus on having fun together and finding those things that you have in common. Yes. And this is a big one. This is a really big helpful hint that really helped our marriage. So he's like, what are you going to say?
I want to remember this one too.
So every Sunday night on our calendar at 9 o'clock, we do a business meeting.
Oh,
and we talk about our budget, we look at our schedules, we talk about kid stuff. Hey, Kylie got a bad grade, we need to talk about this. Okay, so that when we go on our date night, We do not talk about money. We don't talk about kind of the business stuff. Leave it up to that. We literally call it Sunday night every 9 p.m. our business meeting.
Yeah. That is wonderful.
And that, separating the two has become really, I mean, life-giving in our marriage. Because those date nights we can talk about us and do what we want to do and talk about our dreams and our hopes and our fears.
That's so awesome. That's great advice.
And Molly, I mean, we kind of are very much so built the same way in what we do with other people.
Right.
And that is, goal setting is so important. It's so amazing. Important. You know, we talk to business coaches, and they're always saying, "Well, what's your business goals with you? What are your health goals?" Yeah. But rarely do we find couples being asked, "Well, what are your marriage goals? What kind of goals are you setting?" Because marriage is not a sprint; it's a marathon, and you got to have that long range goal. Right. That what are you working for? It's a legacy. This is a legacy project, and
I love
it. And this is kind of amazing too. And it's funny, I officiate weddings, and I love sharing with couples that this relationship should be, and it has to be, the performance standard by which you judge everything else in your life. Because the reality is that careers, houses, cars, they come and go. Even friends come and go throughout your life. But it's this relationship that stands the test of time. And when you nail it, okay, it releases an amazing amount of energy and becomes like this launching pad for you to chase after the dreams that you have in business, in careers, and things like that.
Well, and there's a lot of statistics. Off the top of my head, I don't know all of them, but I'm sure if you Google them, on when you have a healthy marriage, the effects that it has in your community, with your children, right? Your parenting, your job. I think I know there's a statistic that Forbes magazine did when if you're happily married, you make more money. That's a big number.
73%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. Let's make it up. 99% of people.
Yes.
It was a big number. I thought, wow, that really, they're better employees. Your health is better, right?
You retire richer.
There's just so many more things like that now science has proven that if you have a healthy marriage, that the benefits are endless.
Everything.
And it seeps into everything in your life.
Right. So you guys are like reading everything that's coming through my head, and then you'll say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. But having that partner for life is so key.
And so I would say for the empty nesters, or for people who are kind of approaching that season, to say, what are your goals as empty nesters? Make goals together. And you can have individual goals. You can say, I really want to do this. And if you don't match on everything, it's not a big deal.
And don't get me wrong. If you're approaching the empty nesting stage, you got teenagers in the house, you can't fool them.
I know.
They see your marriage for the state that it is in.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like you can kind of put on a show, because they see, they're perceptive. And what's really tough is we've talked to several of our friends that their parents' marriages blew out when they moved out of the house, and they felt like it was even harder for them to deal with, because everything that they knew as safety and family was all a facade.
I know,
and it's all gone. And that's a whole season of life that they have to go through that mourning process. That is way more. It's really, really difficult.
It's damaging.
I love it. I love everything you're sharing. Just because I totally get it. I mean, I do have a lot of friends, even family, who have not been as fortunate to find like the spouse that I have found in Kevin, and that makes me sad for them. But I always still say, you know what, he could still be out there. So for anyone who's watching this who isn't married, go and really look for that person who gets you and wants to put work into a marriage. Does that
we'll say that we don't believe that there's one right person for everybody. I actually don't believe in that. I know a lot of people disagree with us on that.
You don't find a soulmate.
You don't find a soulmate. You become the soulmate. You have to make it, right?
You do, yes.
Because life happens.
Yes, life happens.
Sickness, death in the family, job loss, right? And you could have married the great person, and then something happens tragic, and you just would have never expected that, and that changes their whole personality. So are you just going to give up on that person, or are you going to say, okay, well now we're going to start from scratch? And
I think we're trying to, with Marriage 365, confront the cultural lie about that, because if you think that you're going to find a soulmate, then you really have to look for that perfect person. And you will never find that perfect person.
I was just thinking that. No, not
Okay,
at all. Not at all.
Because
Oh
we're
my
not
goodness.
perfect. And to this date, we have never met someone who's perfect.
And
so there you go.
perfect is not possible.
Yeah.
And perfect,
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
even
think
if someone
so.
looks perfect, it's not.
And,
So,
yes.
and
like,
I mean, you know, we've met our friends that are getting older in life,
Yeah.
and they start to get choosier and pickier.
Yeah.
And our encouragement is,
Interesting.
hey, listen, you know, look at marriage is, you know, I mean, real life is something goes wrong with the car.
Yeah.
You get the flu. There's a death in the family. I mean, that's real life, and doing life together is what it's about.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's the highs or the lows.
Yeah, totally.
I would say to the single person looking for someone is actually, my number one thing would be to find a friend. Because we know that the love comes and goes, the looks can come and go, even the money can come and go, right? You can lose a job and you're out of everything.
Yeah.
That was our story.
If you have a solid friendship and you want to be with the person, then everything will kind of just, you'll figure it out.
I
Because
love that.
you make effort in friendships, right? You hey, you want to go to coffee? Hey, you want to go on a walk, right? So if it's your spouse, it makes it easy.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
easier.
So great. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's great. So you guys, I love your message and everything, and I love that you officiate weddings. I just had to say that there too. That's so much fun. That's probably so neat to see two people who are like getting married.
He comes home from his weddings and he's all romantic.
I'm my gosh, that is so cute.
Oh, I love. So I'm like, go do weddings.
Oh my gosh, that is really
He comes
fun.
home and he's like, I'm just so thankful I'm married to you.
That
It's
is
like,
so sweet. That is
Truly,
so sweet.
it's therapy for me.
Oh,
It
that
is.
so
It's really
cute.
neat to see a couple like totally in love,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
that's
it's
so
a
neat.
beautiful thing to be a part of.
Right.
And I think what's been neat now that he's been doing this for 5 years is that the couples feel very safe with him because it's not just about a ceremony; it's a relationship, right? And so he said, "Hey, if anything goes wrong in your marriage, if you're stuck on an issue, come to my wife and I. Like this is what Marriage 365 is about: is giving back." And so we've had many couples come and say, "We just can't figure this situation out," you know, and we've been able to walk them through that. And I love being a part of that, you know, and I know he does even more. So.
And I love that you guys are real and you're living it. Like you're not just like everything's perfect and sunshine and roses and this is how you have a perfect marriage. It's like no, this is real life. This is what you can do. So now Marriage 365. What can people find like on your website and what do you offer to people who are like, you know what? I put all this money into my fitness. I put all this money into my education. I mean, for me, if my marriage isn't strong, then everything else is kind of, you know what, we just talked about that, right? Like your goals and everything. So for me, I mean, I would rather invest in my marriage than into a lawyer in 5 years. And so what would you say, you know, if I was someone who was like watching this right now and thought, wow, I need to connect with them. Like, what can you help me with?
Yeah, well, and it's funny you bring weddings in because when I sit down with couples, I said, you know, I know you're not sitting here thinking, you know, I give us 5 really good ones, 2 really terrible ones, ending in a bitter divorce.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Right, but yet is that not the common story?
Yeah.
And so what we are finding is that people are willing to invest thousands of dollars in their education, hundreds of dollars into their business, and 0 into their marriage. Yeah. And so, kind of like a fitness challenge, we are launching Thrive, a 6-week marriage challenge, which is meant to put your marriage on the front burner.
I love it.
We're saying, hey, clear the calendar, make your marriage a priority. We've got some videos, we've got a lot of exciting content in there. So basically our couples coaching curriculum that we've taken online
That's awesome.
and really focusing on building a healthy you, understanding who you are, understanding the background music, you know, the toxic thoughts.
We like to say like build a better marriage by building a better you.
Oh,
That's really what the foundation of Thrive is. But it's also accountability.
Yeah.
You're with a bunch of married people
that
or engaged
like-minded,
people, like-minded. We're all going through it. We all struggle. And so there's that accountability factor as well, and so we're really excited about it.
Oh,
there's nothing out there like
nothing
this.
like that. Like that is
and it's
so
affordable,
wonderful.
which is great.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, by invest I meant not even money, but
Just
I mean
your
like
time.
invest in going, am I worth it? Is my marriage worth it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
that's one of our, you know, if you want to really take your marriage to the next level, we would recommend Thrive to anybody.
Yeah.
We're launching that April 21st.
That's so
that's in a
exciting.
couple weeks. We have a free ebook right now.
Love
that
it. I got it.
Yeah.
I downloaded it.
So
I was like, sign me up.
Yeah, you just have to sign up for our newsletter. And that's just, we don't bombard you with daily emails, nothing like that. It's just new blog posts and things like that, or any specials we have. We have, obviously, our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest.
And you have a bunch of videos, like tons of really good videos and takeaways, like things that I could practice right away. Like last night I read it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to use this tomorrow on Kevin. Okay. I'm just kidding.
One of our things we did was we launched something on YouTube called Marriage Mondays.
Oh, yeah.
Because really what happens is, doing marriage stuff, and probably you get this with health stuff and fitness and whatnot, is that you're bombarded with questions and emails. And I wish I had the time, that we had the time to be able to respond to every single person, but we don't.
Okay.
We get about 50 emails a day.
Wow, that's awesome.
In every story imaginable and whatnot.
People need you guys.
Yeah, they do. They need help.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are blessed to live in Orange County where we do have a lot of resources here, but a lot of people in other places don't have as many resources.
Yeah.
So everything we do is pretty much online.
That's great.
And so we have, I'm blanking, what was I going to, I'm going on a
Marriage
tangent.
Mondays.
Oh, Marriage Mondays, yes. So we started in January, basically every Monday, we have a video. It's 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and we answer someone's question.
That's wonderful.
And I mean, obviously we don't know the entire backstory of the question, but we
We're
try
taking
to
our best stab
we're
at it.
taking our best stab at
We'll
it.
get some of these questions are like, we just found out my husband's having an affair. Please help.
And you're like,
oh,
did you know? Did you catch him?
So
how long was the affair? I mean,
trying to
there's so many
figure out how to-
factors. But we try to answer questions that have a little bit more meat in them, so we can kind of dive into it more. But it's been really helpful. And so those are videos. They're free. They're every Monday, and they're practical.
And we're really excited. I mean, this has been a 1.5-year journey for us.
That's
being
great.
Like online public. And this summer we're launching Marriage 365 as a nonprofit.
Yay! That's
a big deal for us.
This is a big deal. Our hearts are always to give back, to be in a position to serve other couples, because it's kind of like we wish we had something like this when we first were married.
Yeah.
So it's kind of out of that desire to say, hey, you know what? There's not enough voices fighting for marriage.
Right.
Marriage seems to be kind of the butt of all jokes in sitcoms and really, degraded in music and true love, what true love looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
And for us, think about the impact one healthy marriage can make.
Oh, huge.
Their kids, their kids launch successfully into life.
Right.
Their neighbors see true love being enacted out.
Yes.
That marriage can now impact a community, and that is one healthy marriage.
Yeah,
and we want to see 1 million marriages.
1 million.
That's
a good
that's
goal.
our goal.
Tell me that's on your dream board. Do you do dream boards?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So yes.
Tell
me.
Tell
We
me.
have a dream board, and
Okay.
it's those giant Post-it, things.
Right.
So we have a giant Post-it.
Okay.
And we put colored little Post-its all over our dream wall.
Right.
And we have a little area where if the dream came true, if we made it happen, then we put it on the side. And then as we just kind of go through ideas. It's actually amazing.
I want a
how
picture
many,
of it. I need to see what it
I'll
looks
send
like.
you a
Okay,
picture.
I need a picture.
You can post it.
Because I'm going to copy it. I want to post it too.
Yeah, you can.
Our whole upstairs is littered with these giant poster boards of
ideas.
our
That's
vision,
so
our
great.
mission. Who
Goals.
are we?
Yeah.
What do we want to do? What do we want to
I'm big on post-it notes too right now. I just jot it and
well,
post
because
it.
you can move them around, and I know we were talking earlier how sometimes dreams change.
Yes.
And that's okay. Your priorities change, things happen, and so. But we have goals for our marriage.
Okay.
We have goals for Marriage 365, and then we have even bigger like goals for couples that we know are going to be able to step up and come alongside with
That's
us
wonderful.
and help launch Marriage 365 into a nonprofit.
Oh
because
my
there
gosh.
are like-minded people like us that
Yeah.
want to make an impact on the world through marriages.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Probably one of the best things about launching and pursuing Marriage 365 has got to be fulfilling our life's calling.
Oh, totally.
I mean, when you identify that, which I know is a journey for most, and that's something you're helping others achieve. But fulfilling our life's calling, it so is
Life-giving.
It's life-giving. It feels like we're living our life with what we've been purposed and created for. One of the greatest joys of pursuing Marriage 365 is really pursuing a calling on our life. Like that which we've been designed for and purposed for.
Love it.
One of the greatest things is that our greatest calling typically comes out of our greatest pain.
Definitely.
And we're followers of Jesus, and the beautiful thing about that is that he redeems that pain and transforms that into a calling. and it's so life-giving. And one of the tenets behind Marriage 365 is this idea that when you look at the world around us, I mean, right, it's hard not to know that something or someone created this world.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So what is the creation speak of the creator? Well, I mean, when you look at nature, it's this immense creativity, it's this order. And at the height of all that, he created man, right? And then he looked at him and he said, dude, you need some help.
Oh my gosh!
And he created woman. So he made it better, right?
Much better.
Much better, yes.
I'll give that one to you. But you know what? In that, what does that say about the Creator? Yeah. Well, that he's a God of romance. He's a relational guy. He's a connector. Right. And the beautiful thing about chasing after Jesus has been, and following after him, is that he's come and been our inspirational story. Because he's been the guy that's loved. He's chosen love, truly. When he didn't feel like, when it was, everything was contrary to that. Right. And he's been a counselor. He's been our guide. And when he put this calling on our lives, you know, he looked at us and he was just basically saying, I care for all marriages. I don't care what you believe. It's something that I created, right? Just as you wouldn't look at someone in fitness and say, well, you got to believe what I believe, and then I'll help you. Yeah. The same thing happens with marriage. God really wants to see all marriages thrive. Mormon, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, doesn't matter. Right. And that's been kind of our driving force, is to create relational health, because that's what we've been designed for.
That is so beautiful. I totally agree that whatever you struggle with can be your message to people. Can be something that you know, that's your purpose. That's what I have found too. And whatever, you know, like that wakes you up and gives you that feeling, like right in your gut. Did you guys have that feeling? It was in your heart too? Your gut, your heart, not really your head, but more everything in you is like, I have to go share this with people.
Yeah. It gets you up in the morning.
It totally gets you up in the morning.
It gets you up in the morning, and you know, saving a marriage is a powerful thing, like we talked about. So it really gets you up in the morning. Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people who can learn from you guys. I mean, I'm learning from you too, and I've been married 20 years, but never are we perfect, you know, and we're changing every day and growing, and so I appreciate everything.
And we love your transparency on your, I mean, that's how we connected was, you know, marriage is a journey, but it's really, we learn from stories. Yes. We learn from people's experiences, whether they were good or bad, and people sharing them. If we kept this all to ourselves, could you imagine? I mean, we have all these different things that we've had to figure out, communication and sex stuff. I mean, you name it, we're an open book. The world knows probably more about our marriage than anybody else's marriage. But you know what?
Hopefully our parents aren't watching.
Yeah, I know. Well, and that is the thing too. We do have 2 books, and our first book was called Naked Dinners.
I love it. I saw that. I was dying.
When we got married, we thought everybody had dinner in the nude when they got married. My God. What were we thinking? I don't know.
Too bad it wasn't a glass table.
That is hilarious.
It wasn't a glass table. I know. But it didn't go well, and our sex life was terrible for years. And I was embarrassed, and then it was a girlfriend who really reached out and said, hey, listen, I can help you, and she helped me, and she explained a lot of things to me that I didn't get, and so with that said, though, if she didn't share that, who knows where we would have been, you know, and so it really is our stories and our journey that we go along, that we go through, that help other people.
And you're relatable, and I want someone who's going to be real and say, hey, like this is real life. I don't want someone sitting on a chair by a fireplace going, this is how you should have your marriage. No, I want people who are like, we're living it, we're doing it. This is where it's messy. It's but we're working it out, and we're committed to each other. Like I always say that with Kevin. He'll frustrate me some days. I'll frustrate him most days. He won't laugh at my jokes. You know what I mean? But I still know that we're in it for life.
Yes.
And I mean, unless I feel for people though who are in a dangerous situation, that's where I'm always like, okay, bye-bye. But you know, but like it's for me, it's so worth working out. I want someone to grow old with. And so bad, and to experience everything with. Watch our kids grow, and then after the kids are gone, to go have fun. My son said to me the other day, Mom, you're going to be 40. Mom, you're going to be 46 years old when I'm out of the house. You're going to be young still. I was like, yeah, baby.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Yes.
Did I know I was going to have kids 9 months after I got married? No, that was God's plan. But
Yes.
anyway, that's a whole other story.
Yes.
Thank you.
You are going to be young.
Yeah.
Young.
But that was
You are
funny.
young.
I was like,
Yeah.
But you've been an inspiration to us too. I mean,
Aw.
just seeing you guys living life. I mean, you've stepped on stage and you said, "Hey, this is me.
Yeah.
Take it for what it's worth." It's
I want to
been
be
transparent,
real.
and I love that.
I can't go out there and say we've never fought. That'd be a lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I also want to be a light for people, showing them that, you know, if you work at it and you commit to each other and you have those date nights and the romance and just like you guys, that, you know, you will be fine. And also setting goals together. I just have to touch on this really quick. When you guys said that you meet on Sunday nights, we have meetings every Monday morning.
You do.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you
Monday
go.
morning.
And we sit down and we write out our goals and we talk about all that. But when we go on date night Thursday, nothing else about business. And
Yes.
I am guilty of bringing it up sometimes. Kevin's like, no, we're not talking about that tonight.
Yeah.
So I
it's
appreciate
hard not
that.
to talk
though.
about your children.
It is.
It's hard not to talk about, especially where guarantee you Kevin's probably an activator too. We all get things done and we're visionaries and we're dreamers, and so we've got a lot. But there's a time and a place. I think just having it separated is really good. You know?
Right.
So
And then you guys work together. So how is
Yes.
that? Working together and doing this together.
Okay.
Well,
so any advice for any advice for couples who work
that's funny
together?
because people ask us a lot.
Yeah.
Do you actually get along? Do you
Yeah.
guys- Well, little side note. So when we were in college together, we needed money because we were poor college
Yes,
students.
of course.
And yes, and we started catering together. We
Oh
ended up
my
catering
gosh.
for 7 years
You guys
together.
can cook?
No.
We can-
I can't. Sorry. We did.
No, she hates to cook.
I hate to cook.
It was actually
You
one of our
faked it
early
to pay the
fights.
bills.
Wait,
That's good.
wait,
I like
That's
to
good.
eat.
He loves to eat. I hate to cook.
Oh
This
my gosh.
that was one thing that we will
Oh,
always,
man.
we will
So
always butt heads on.
funny.
I love to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
I
That's why I
know.
work out.
Yeah. No, actually, the catering company has their own chefs, and so we
Okay.
did more of the service,
got it.
setup, presenting the food, making it look.
I was
really
ready to come over
fancy.
your house for dinner. Now let's just go to a
no.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you like chicken nuggets, come to my house, baby.
Perfect. And
Yeah,
tater
chicken
tots.
nuggets,
And tater tots.
and sometimes a grilled cheese.
Oh, hey, if it's a fancy night. If that's fancy.
Oh, she
Okay.
makes a Meygan cheese.
We call it a Meygan cheese. It's a grilled cheese with an egg in the middle.
Oh, yum.
Mac and
Anything
cheese.
with an egg on top or inside is good for me.
gosh.
That it'll work. Oh, that
Anyways,
is so
but no,
funny, you
so
guys.
we catered, and I think it was actually really good for us because
Yeah.
we got along
Yeah,
then, so we
that's
kind of knew
cool.
doing this. Not to say that we don't bump heads,
Yeah.
but I think there's been times where like we've had to make financial decisions with
Yeah.
Marriage 365, or writing a book together.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was
Writing a book alone, I hear, is challenging. With someone else?
Oh,
my
yeah,
goodness.
because there's
Yeah.
certain times we've had to say, wait a second, would you really tell someone that advice?
Oh,
well,
interesting.
maybe. I'm like, no. You know, if it doesn't work for us, then we're not writing
Yeah,
it.
good.
Or just we've run into things where, you know,
Well,
we've definitely
look
argued about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Don't you want to hang out with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's my best friend.
Right.
I wanna hang out with her.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I want to be with her.
Yeah.
I want to do life, whether it's going to Target or it's
Yeah.
going to Tahiti.
Yeah.
But you know, hey,
We-
working together for us comes easy because
You
we're
want to
good
spend
friends.
time together.
Yes.
Right, same
A
with us.
good rule we have too is if we don't see eye to eye on something, we come back to it in a week.
Oh, I love it.
Give it some time,
Yeah.
pray about it, journal, think
Yeah,
about it,
right.
do some research on whatever the topic is.
Yeah.
It's usually a financial decision.
That's
we don't
right. That's
see
what
eye to
most
eye
people
on.
fight about anyway,
Yeah,
right? I
money
mean,
is a big.
finances, yeah.
It just has such a hold on you.
Yeah.
You know.
Honestly, I was ready to sign documents to start our nonprofit like last week.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, wait for it.
Yeah.
And we're excited to have someone come alongside us and incubate us for a while.
Good.
So there's an example where I was
Good.
pushing and
Right.
driving to say, we got to do this. This is what we're doing. We're called to
And it was a good thing,
yeah.
right?
And then, of course, at first she's like, no, well, and I'm like, you're standing in our way of our dreams,
Oh,
But it was more of a financial
But can
thing.
you imagine if there were two of you married or two of you married? Like Kevin and I
Exactly.
say that we're opposites, but we totally work
You
together.
complement each other.
If I was married to a Molly, I would be divorced. So, I would
you
think I was
do.
really funny, but I'd be
Now
divorced.
knowing
so.
Kevin and you,
Yeah.
you do complement
Right,
each other
right.
very well. And I think that's part of the whole thing with any relationship, but really your marriage you have to focus on is looking at each other's strengths and weaknesses, but more of the strengths.
Yes.
And using them to your advantage.
Yeah, and not pointing out the
I'm
weaknesses.
totally
Stop pointing out the
stealing. You said it earlier. I'm totally stealing it.
What?
The wow and the how.
The wow and the
I
how.
love that.
Yeah, or the
Or-
bulldozer and the
Perfect.
cone.
Yes.
You
Explain
know?
that. That
Yeah.
was great.
Oh, the wow and the how.
Yeah.
Like the person who So for Kevin and I, he says I'm the wow, he's the how. So I like to share with people, talk with anyone. I mean, I'll talk to 5 people in the target line, right? Or, I mean, I'll get on stage and talk. Kevin would never want to get on stage. He doesn't talk to people in line. He wouldn't do this, but he's the how. He does all of my other stuff, and that's why we are successful with our businesses and our marriage.
Yes.
And then the bulldozer in the cone is the bulldozer is the person, that would be you.
Yep.
Who was like, let's go, let's sign those. And then, you know, and then the cautious one, like, wait, let's think through this. And you need that through business and in marriage, right?
Yes.
So surprisingly, you'd think that I was the bulldozer. That's Kevin. I'm more the cone.
Okay.
And I think it has to do with growing up with a family of 11 kids, and my mom struggled a lot, raised us mostly alone, and so I'm always like, wait. So I'm kind of the waiter. But anyway, you learn that, and we work through it, and sometimes we switch. But the wow and the how,
I like that.
that's awesome.
I really, we've never heard that before, but I thought that's a great way to describe us, for sure. The wow and the how.
And then use each other's strengths and weaknesses. That's how you, I mean, that's how we work it out.
I do not have the discipline to keep up the social media, so that's all her.
Good, she does a great job.
Because it would be scattershot, it would be all over the place. But you know,
that's great.
And then we've had so many great conversations, like, oh, that's your activator going, you know, or you know,
because then you can see why your spouse is the way your spouse is.
I'm ordering that the minute we.
I'm
getting this today.
It's worth. I think it's like $30, but it's worth every penny.
Okay,
for sure.
It's helped us even identify, like, because our strengths oftentimes can be our greatest weakness.
Right.
So I'm a woo. That's one of the characteristics.
And I bet you'd be a woo too.
Okay.
Yeah. You might
I
be
will
a woo.
report in after I do it. I will let you know.
You know, we love to sell and win people over, and it usually comes out of a general heart. But when it comes to shopping for a stroller, I try to win everybody over, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
We were shopping for a stroller, which you know is so complicated nowadays because there's a million options.
Yes.
And he's like trying to sell me and our neighbors, and I'm like, if you like the stroller, get the stroller.
That sounds
you know?
like me.
Yes.
And that would be Kevin.
But you get on your
funny.
little, hot subjects, and it's like the subject of the week.
Yeah.
But she's learned how to channel that. She's learned that, like, okay, well, he's
and it comes from a good place.
Yes,
you know, because if I feel like he's coming from a bad place, that's not who he is.
Right,
you know, I don't even let my brain go there.
Yeah.
So it's been very helpful in understanding.
Yes.
I thought of something here. So just for my general, like growing up, my parents were really bad at communicating with each other and communicating like in a loving way. So do you teach couples how to, say things the right way instead of like, you're annoying? Like, I feel like when you do this, I don't know. Can you give some people just some takeaways that they could, maybe not even communication, but maybe 3 things that someone could use going forward today to like go and implement when they get home from work or after they watch this?
I think so. We have a method
This is
called
an impromptu
question.
60-second blessing needs to be one.
Ooh, what's that?
Yes. Okay,
what's that?
so
I already like the name of it.
So the 60-second blessing was life-changing for us.
Okay.
What you do is you take turns, and it's 2 minutes of your day, so everybody has that.
Yes.
You cannot make an excuse.
Just don't go on Instagram for 2 minutes.
There you go.
Do this. Work on your marriage.
Exactly. And you take turns and you speak words of love, words of affirmation, words of encouragement. Some people like to say a prayer for their spouse. Some people it's just an encouragement. And you look in each other's eyes. Now, some days, we don't say it in person. Sometimes it's over the phone. Right. Sometimes it's even email, or he travels for work.
It could be a sweet text.
Could be a text.
Something.
Totally. I mean, of course, it means a little bit more when you're in person.
Right.
But you just look at each other's eyes, you hold each other's hands, and you just, say 60 seconds of blessing, and then it's their turn.
I want to cry.
And we've had couples commit for 30 days. So don't do anything else in your marriage. Focus on that. And they've said their atmosphere of their home completely did a 180.
Oh my gosh.
Because it feels really good when your spouse says those things to you.
Yes.
Well, and words have the power to give life.
Yeah.
Or they can take it away.
Right.
So when you get into the toxic patterns that we lived out, where, we'd fight about one thing and then it turned to a cussing out, throwing things at each other. And, it's just like all this negativity that surrounded our marriage. No wonder it was toxic. But words have the power to actually change the atmosphere of the room, your views of each other.
Yep.
The one thing I love is the word encouragement. The etymology of it is to literally place courage in someone's heart. And I love that idea that I can speak words of encouragement into Meygan's heart that can transform who she is. And that's how powerful words are. And we talk about this in our book, Communication That Connects, that we all have toxic thought patterns. Woundings that we had from as a child, the bully on the playground to a harsh word spoken by a parent. That kind of continues to play out for the rest of our life. I'm worthless.
Yes.
I'm fat. I'm a terrible parent.
Yes.
My ideas don't matter. But I can actually change those toxic patterns
in me, and I can change them in him.
If I begin to identify, which we always encourage couples, share those toxic thoughts with each other. If I know she thinks that she's worthless as a mom, I can sit there and go, you know what? You are such an incredible mother.
And
the kids love
that toxic thought over and over
does.
again. And that toxic thought that was this big just gets tiny. One of Casey's toxic thoughts.
That's life changing.
It is, absolutely.
It is. One of Casey's toxic thoughts is abandonment. He's afraid that because his mom left him,
right?
And he just had a hard childhood. And so there was a time when we were at Target, and I said from afar, "Hey, I'm going to go get the car," and he didn't hear me. He thought I left him.
Right.
We got in this huge fight, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Finally, after finding out, that's his toxic thought, is abandonment. You're going to leave me, and I'm never going to see you again. So I'm able to affirm him during the 60-second blessing to say, I'm never going to leave you. You are the most amazing blessing in my life. You're my best friend. And so that abandonment becomes smaller and smaller, and he feels more safe and secure.
Oh my God.
So I would say even before the communication, I mean, that's positive communication. And that's kind of in our book, we talk about, we do view communication, I think, as a culture, as a negative thing, like, oh, we have to talk tonight.
Right.
That means something's going on. There's a bad thing happening. But it's actually, there's positive communication, too, that you have to bring in your marriage.
And I would say, and I'd say probably another thing would be that conflict actually is a very healthy part of relationships.
Right.
And you can turn conflict into a win if you don't come to the table in a defensive posture. And so it's the way you frame conflict in your marriage that can actually make it a productive component.
Yes.
Because we are big fans of the Gottman Institute. They've got great research on what makes marriages work. And they said 69% of conflict is unresolvable.
69%.
Wow.
Because we're two different people.
Two different backgrounds, two different.
So it's not about resolving conflict, it's about managing that part of your relationship. And so, working together, right?
Yeah.
We manage conflict in a healthy manner, most of the time. And that's helped us kind of move past those, I misstep.
And one of the methods is, we call it the kick, kiss method. So you're basically sandwiching the conflict, the issue at hand, with love. The kissing. So you say the statement in affirmation, hey babe, I really love you. You're such a great dad. Thank you for working so hard. You made a comment yesterday, and I haven't been able to get it off my mind. It hurt my feelings. This is what it was. But I want you to know, we're going to find a solution. I love you. Yeah. And we're going to work it out. So I kissed, I kicked, and then I kissed.
And
it's
let me
really
tell you,
practical and healthy and happy.
It takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy for us to say that. Frankly, it's because as soon as if I said something to her that didn't land right, what's her first reaction?
I want to lash out and be like,
So it's a
come on, man.
So but it's a habit that may feel awkward at first, but when you start to make it a regular habit, which if you're affirming each other, then when I misstep or she missteps, it's not like a total drain on the emotional bank account, because you've been filling each other with these positive words.
That's what I was thinking. A lot of the times when Kevin and I get like snippy, it's usually something just in me, like my childhood, something like like that happened to me that maybe I had, just it's in there, or maybe that's the way my mom handled things. So it's funny. We are not shy about bringing up I think that actually has to do with this, but it's I don't know. We say it in a loving way though, so it's never like you're doing this because of this.
And the key to what you're talking about though is that you're self-aware. You're both self-aware, because that's how we learn. We learn from conflict. The point of okay, we had an argument. What can we take away from this? I want to learn more about you through this argument or this conversation, right? And then the next time it happens, if they respond a certain way, you're going to say, oh, that's right. Last time I learned that's a trigger point, or ooh, he's uncomfortable when I bring that up, or whatever the situation is. So it's learning more about your spouse through conflict. If you go into an argument saying it's going to be, could be yucky, but we're going to come out better, and then it's positive.
Right. Yes. And don't laugh, but sometimes I just need a hug. I swear. I'm not kidding you. I'll have this day where I'm just like, because the world just, it's just stuff, and you're running around like a crazy person, and just crazy, and I'll just say, can I just have a hug? Yes. And I know that sounds funny, but like Kevin will just like hug me and like hold me, and I'm like, okay,
and that's important. And that's important for couples to communicate that. Yeah. I don't want to fix. Yeah. I don't want a solution to my problem. I need a hug, or I just need a kiss, or I need a night off. Yeah. I need to just be by myself for a little bit.
And I'm okay with saying that.
But communicating that is so good because it gives the other. We always say in Marriage 365, your spouse is not a mind reader.
No, I know.
Don't assume that they know how you're feeling because they don't.
I used to think he was a mind reader, and then he finally told me he wasn't.
I think we all think that. Yeah, I know.
He actually said it one day. He goes, "Molly, I can't read your mind." I'm like, "Really?" For like 15 years, I thought you could.
And that's the myth that people think the longer you're together, the more you're. But we just have to communicate.
Yeah, totally.
And when you say that, we hear a lot of complaints from other spouses that, well, he should know.
Oh,
from
my
a lot,
God.
especially from like
we're still finding out about us a lot of the time. Like I'm working on myself, so
it's a self journey.
That's so funny. You guys are so beautiful, and I mean, you are beautiful. Barbie and Ken here, but beautiful inside, and I'm so thankful that you guys are doing what you're doing. Like I want to cry, because everyone always thinks like online, everyone's looking to make money and just do this product, whatever. You're out there to help change lives, and not just our lives that are like here, but like our kids, the legacy we leave. We want our kids, just like you guys, to see us embrace each other, love each other, support each other, work together, right? And for me, that's like when my kids say, when they say, I want a wife like you, or I want a husband like you, I'm like, we've done what, this is what I don't know. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing, and I will share all the links to everything. Everyone needs, just because I want people to learn from you guys and that you're real, and I'm just inspired by you, and I just feel so blessed that we've connected.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for, putting yourselves out there, and just, it's amazing. And sharing your faith. I think that's really, really important. People need to know that, all of that. So thank you. You guys are wonderful. I'm so excited, and I think you need to come back though.
I think so too.
I do. I already know that you're going to have to come back.
I think we're going to invite ourselves back.
I think you should right now. We're going to put it on the calendar. But thank you so much, and I already know like friends that I'm going to be just sending to you right away. Just we all need help, just to love.
We're in this together.
We are in this together. Yeah. That's what people need to know.
And we're creating a learning community.
Yes.
One of the axioms that we've talked about, and we mentioned earlier, was that if you want to go fast in life, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together.
I love it.
And we want to link arms with other couples that are committed to their marriage, willing to put the hard work in to make marriage work. Right. And life's going to be messy, but we're going to do it together.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're going to do it with you guys.
Thank you so much, you guys. I can't wait to have you back.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I loved having Meygan and Casey here with me today. Marriage 365, that's where you can find them. They have a YouTube channel, an Instagram, a blog, and I just love that they shared their heart and they shared tips that we can take to our own relationships, to our own marriages, so that we can really learn how to love one another in a better way and just really work on ourselves so that we can live a happier life. So be sure to follow them. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel and go to mollymotivates.com for more. So go love your life and live it on purpose.